Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us on this stage. Adam, thank you for speaking with me. My name is Ben Sales. I'm the news editor of eJewishPhilanthropy, which covers Jewish philanthropy in addition to Jewish organizations and new trends in giving, and that's what we're here to talk about. Adam, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then I have a few questions for you.
Sure. Well, I'm just grateful that you all didn't convince Yasmin to dance, because then I would not be able to compete, and this would be over before it started. But my name is Adam Nash. I'm technologist, engineer by trade, started my career at Apple, moved to companies like well-known eBay, LinkedIn. I was CEO of Wealthfront for 4 years, FinTech, Dropbox, and now my new passion is my new organization, Daffy.org. Daffy is, when you let an engineer make up names for things, they tend to be a little on the nose, but Daffy stands for the Donor Advised Fund for You. It's based on this simple idea that the world would be a better place if more people put money aside proactively for charity every week, every month, so that they had money to give when it was needed.
So thank you, and thanks again for being here. Adam, I always love to start my interviews by just asking, what's your story, and what's the story of Daffy? How did you decide to start this, and how's it going so far?
Well, Daffy is a very interesting organization and company because it really started during the pandemic. You might say that it's entirely possible that having so much time at home that my wife may have nudged me out by the end of 2020, but no, it was in the midst of the pandemic. I had been thinking a lot about fintech, financial products, great things that hadn't been reinvented yet, but it wasn't quite clicking. And then I realized, my children have all gone to these wonderful schools, Jewish schools, and they have these wonderful traditions around tzedakah. All the kids will come in on Friday, they bring their spare change, every age, right? They bring them in, they put them in a little bank, and then every quarter the class votes on what organization to give the money to. And it's such a simple idea. If you go on Amazon and you look for piggy banks, they're all broken up for kids. This is the money you can spend, this is the money to save for a rainy day, and this is the money to give. But it really struck me that as adults, too many of us don't follow the lessons that we teach children, right? We don't put money aside proactively for charity. And I've been fortunate. I've been on the board of a company called Acorns for about 6 years. And Acorns has built a business where they now have almost 5 million paying subscribers, and all Acorns does is help them save and make their financial lives better. And I said, if we can do this for saving, then we can do it for giving. And so my co-founder, Alejandro Crosa, one of my favorite engineers from LinkedIn back in the day, has a real passion for giving as well. He helped donors choose in the early day. And so we decided to start a company. And fortunately, we were able to get funding in the midst of the pandemic and had to learn how to build an organization and a company that was remote first. But yeah, we were able to build the team and launch Daffy on September 30th, 2021. So we've been out for just a little over a year.
Very cool. And why did you decide to go with donor-advised funds? For those who know and those who don't, donor-advised funds are used largely by wealthy donors, by large donors, and I think that's the perception around them. And there's also been criticism of DAFs that you and I talked about. Where people talk about DAFs as a place where some donors park their money and there's a conversation about how much needs to be given. So how did you land on DAFs, donor-advised funds, as a tool for smaller donors and for a wider spectrum of giving?
Yeah, well, I do have a lot of opinions about donor-advised funds and the existing industry, of course. And in building Daffy, obviously, when you build a new organization, you have to believe that there's a purpose to it. I believe that organizations, companies can be a force for change. You can force a whole industry to react and change. And so we can talk a bit more about what's wrong with the industry in a bit. But the basic idea of a donor-advised fund is fantastic. It's a fantastic financial product. Just like people have accounts for retirement savings, they have accounts for college savings. Having an account, a tax-advantaged account, that's set aside for charity fits the way that people actually work with money. right? I mean, the research shows that people who set a goal for financial goals, like retirement and college, and automate it, do better hitting those goals. And the same thing applies for charity. In fact, we found some research out of Stockholm that suggested that people who set a goal for their giving, put money aside, give 32% more than people who don't. And so when you look at the existing donor-advised fund industry, they're all focused on the wealthy. And I know why, and the wealthy have money to give, and it's fantastic that that money reaches organizations, and so I'm always positive on more money reaching more great organizations. But in the US alone, there's 60 to 70 million households who give to charity every year. They deserve a place to put that money aside. They deserve a platform to help them discover organizations, to connect with them. So we just saw a wide open market for call it the other 69 million folks who give every year, and they needed a financial product for them. And that's really where the kernel of Daffy is, that's what Daffy's built around. The community is built around.
Right. So we talk about small donors, but something that interested me and something that actually eJewishPhilanthropy covered a few months ago is that the minimum donation wasn't quite small enough for a specific Jewish event. And I'd love for you to talk about that story and also to talk about how you're thinking about Daffy in terms of religious giving traditions, not just in the Jewish community, but across the board.
Oh, this is a little embarrassing, so I apologize in advance. This might embarrass my mother a bit. All my Hebrew school education didn't quite get me to the point. When we launched Daffy, we set the minimum donation. We wanted it to be available to everyone, so we tried to set it very low, so we set the minimum donation to $20. Most donor-advised funds have minimums of $100, $250, $500. And of course, it turned out immediately we got a complaint from one of our early members because, of course, why wouldn't you want to be able to donate $18 to a Jewish organization? And actually, it turned out that Daffy really catalyzed with the Jewish community very early. I think that I think it was our second donation ever was from a New York member who wanted to donate to an Orthodox synagogue, wanted to donate Bitcoin. The synagogue can't take Bitcoin, doesn't know how. And he saw our press release and said, oh, I get it. I download your app from the App Store. I give you the Bitcoin, and you will get the cash to the organization. And so it got us thinking. We've seen all these wonderful religious traditions. Giving is based on very old-fashioned values. It's not surprising that most cultures, religions, organizations have a concept for giving proactively. We have Christian members who tithe to their churches. We have Muslim members who give to a different Islamic charity every day of Ramadan. But as an experiment, we put some effort last year into saying, well, if we could help educate people about how to give better to Jewish organizations, what would we do? And so what we decided to do is a very simple little feature where now when you're on Daffy, when you go to a Jewish organization, and of course we have fantastic data scientists and other folks who did this, you don't see what you see for all other organizations. You actually see a little bit of education about the history and the meaning of tzedakah, why the number 18 is lucky in Jewish tradition, tied to life, to chai, etc. And we make it very, very easy for people to give in multiples of 18. So 18, 180, 1800. And I know you haven't seen the app, but it's a lot of fun. We made it exciting. You hit these buttons, all these rainbow chais fly on the screen. It's very animated, it's gamified, etc. But the experiment was, could we build a platform that had more humanity to it? Most donor-advised funds feel like financial products. They feel like retirement accounts. They're just perfunctory. And we thought this was a wonderful way for our Jewish members to see something that meant something to them, that the product touched them in the way they give, but also that non-Jewish members, if they were giving to a Jewish organization, would learn a bit about how to do that in a way that felt good. And actually, the reaction has been phenomenal. It shows you how you can change things and change giving with just with software, with features. So before we rolled out this feature, it turns out the median donation, right, the average donation on Daffy to Jewish organizations was $100. And after we rolled out this feature, it jumped to $180.
Oh, wow.
It's a big difference. And so we're actually excited about this. We're going to continue to invest. We think it's a real differentiator. We want to take all these lessons, all these inspirations from different cultures about how they give, and use it to build an application that actually makes people more generous and educates them about how to give in a more meaningful way.
And I want to come back to something you just said. You talked about gamification. Is that something you think about a lot when you're designing the app and when you're thinking about new features? And what role does that play in helping people give and increasing their giving?
Well, you can probably guess as an engineer in Silicon Valley that I probably played video games a lot as a kid. Although all my kids are better than me now. I have 4 children, and I just got to the point where my youngest, my daughter is 10, just kills me in Mario Kart, just so much better than I am. Anyway, but no, I think that gamification, it's a tool. It's an insight. Humans like to play games. If you make things fun, if you make them entertaining, if you match skill with challenge, people do things more. We have used in this industry, we have helped gamify. We've helped people. Certainly, we've maybe good or bad. We've helped people spend more this way. We've helped people save more. We've helped people invest. I don't see why giving shouldn't be rewarding the same way. And so, yes, when you go onto Daffy, we reward people for different things that they do, right? You can earn badges for your contributions if you set up recurring donations, if you've been good in progress. We just went through 2022, our first year, and our members who set a goal on Daffy got a reward, right? They have a badge that they hit their goal for 2022, almost like Apple Health. It's like, you know how good it feels if you hit the 10,000 steps? Like, that's a good thing, right? Like if you use a fitness app and you hit a fitness goal. Our mission at Daffy is really simple. We want to help people be more generous more often. And so any tool that helps us bring out the generosity we think that is inside most people, we will use. And so gamification, we're big believers in. And we've seen, it's very early days, but we've seen very good reaction to it. People like being recognized, frankly, for their efforts. It's a little bit of a personal improvement thing for them is what we've noticed.
I hear you. There's one more thing I want to come back to that you talked about, and then we'll open it up for a question or two. You mentioned that you enable giving with crypto. What do you see as the future of that? There's obviously been a lot of talk about crypto and how it's been doing over the past year and the past few months. Do you see all of the developments in that, like how do the developments in that market impact giving, and what role does crypto play in your thinking about giving?
Well, I think, look, Daffy isn't based on crypto or any other specific technology. We were unique. We were the first, I know it sounds crazy, but we were the first donor advised fund to launch with a fully functional native app in the App Store. And this is in 2021. And we launched with all the things you'd expect from a modern platform. So not only can we take credit cards and debit cards and link your bank account, you can pay with Apple Pay, but we do take stock and ETFs and mutual funds, and we take crypto. Coinbase actually invested in us. They're one of our investors. And so we support any crypto that Coinbase supports, over 120 different coins. From our point of view, this is all about encouraging generosity, right? If you've invested in crypto and you have money there and you want to give that money to organizations that are going to do good work with it, we want to make that as easy as possible. I will tell you, it has been a phenomenal success so far. Some of our largest contributions and donations have been crypto. I think because, first, let's be clear, crypto, despite the downturn, is still phenomenally bigger than it was even 5 years ago, let alone 10. There's a lot of money out there. But most organizations, most nonprofits are not set up to take it. And I know that there are companies working on this problem, but I will tell you, in the US alone, there's about 1.5 million not-for-profit organizations. You might get the largest few thousand to implement the technology to take crypto, but the rest of them won't be able to do it. And so we see a lot of value in bridging the gap from people who like to invest in crypto and for tax reasons might want to donate crypto. That's appreciated. I always think of that synagogue, right? Like, yes, could you convince every Orthodox synagogue to implement the code to take crypto and the financial process to do it and the tax advice on how to handle it? You could try. But frankly, I'd rather the synagogue focus on being a great synagogue and community for their members and let us handle those details. And so, but yeah, it's been very popular, both donating crypto as well as on the platform investing in crypto has actually been very popular.
Great, thank you. I'll yield to the floor if we have time for questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. And I just want to be super clear, I'm not going to dance. You don't want me to. I'm not very good at it. It's not one of my things.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Can you explain what a donor-advised fund is?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question, what is a donor-advised fund? I will warn you in advance, I do teach a class at Stanford, a personal finance class for 6 years, so if I go on too long, just stop me immediately. But the simplest way to understand a donor-advised fund is just that it's a tax-advantaged account. Just like an IRA or a 401k you would use for retirement in the US, a 529 plan you might use for college savings. A donor-advised fund lets you put money aside for charity. You get the tax-deductible donation when you make it, when you put it in the fund, and then that money can be invested tax-free for you to donate to any organization when you want. And the reason it works is because only nonprofit organizations in the US can offer donor-advised funds. They're available actually in most developed markets, including Israel. But Daffy.org is a registered 501c3 with the IRS as a not-for-profit organization. And so that's why we can take funds, invest them, give our members that charitable deduction right away, and then give them the tools to discover and find organizations they want to give to.
Hi, Ben. Thank you for being here. Shuam, just spoke last night.
Thank you.
Adam, thank you for coming here. First, I would like to challenge Yasmin to change your decision about the dancing. So, Yasmin, it's all about you now.
In truth, I'm a little scared of Yasmin and will largely do anything she tells me to, so that's
This is
fine.
a good start. Now, I think that the last question was an excellent question because I think that one of the things is that there is a missing education about managing your finance and wealth for the future, especially among young generation, because when you just start, you don't even plan, and sometimes when you start planning, it's a little bit too late. So the question is if Daffy maybe also needs to have some wing of education about giving, education about the mechanism, the taxation, and many other. This question was excellent because it shows how much people are not aware of all the financial tools to give.
No, I think it's great, although I will say that I think it's a mistake to rush into all the technicalities. We do publish a lot of content, and this is 2023 now. If you go online, you'll see little short videos from me talking about tax benefits and diagrams of how much money you can save by donating stock or crypto to charity instead of cash. So we do build education in it, and we've noticed that our members actually do enjoy that, but that's not why they join, right? Most people are not in the situation where they're putting large amounts of money aside for many years of giving, right? The wealthy do that, and we do have members who do that, but the vast majority of our members give a certain amount to charity every year, but they've never really thought about it. But giving is important to them, so just like Apple Health helps them exercise, etc., they join Daffy because it lets them set a goal, and that goal might be a few $100s, might be a few $1,000s, and they're going to put that money aside, right? They might put in $50 every month. We actually even have a product now for employers so that all their employees can have an account. So just like they put money aside for retirement, they can put money aside for charity. So we like to start there with the giving and just putting money aside. Basic principles of tzedakah actually work, as it turns out. And then we educate them along the way and they get better. And we are noticing that a lot of people are learning that way. But one of our most popular products we just launched, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but it turns out all these donor advised funds out in the US, despite the fact that they control hundreds of billions of dollars, about 150, 160 billion dollars, they don't have basic support for families. So we rolled out in September family accounts. You can now add up to 24 people onto your fund. So we see people add their children, their grandchildren, nieces and nephews, so that when they do make donations, they can talk about it with their kids or grandkids. And we even implemented the feature so that the kids can recommend charities and donations, and the parents can either approve or modify those requests. So what we're noticing with people is that the tax benefits, the financial aspect, it's good. Don't get me wrong. I think that people care that we put the thought into building the right financial back end. But people are so much more interested in making themselves better, in finding ways to talk to their family about giving, about supporting causes and organizations they support. So a lot of the education we do isn't just about finance. It's about giving and actually what it means to make giving a part of your regular life.
Hi.
Sorry. Oh, this is a good question. The question is it a nonprofit or is it a venture? Why choose when you can do both? So no, in all seriousness, it turns out that only not-for-profits can offer donor-advised funds. So Daffy.org is a registered 501c3 not-for-profit organization. But because of all the operational requirements, almost every donor-advised fund in the US is paired with a for-profit company who builds the technology and operates the fund. So Fidelity Charitable is paired with Fidelity, Schwab Charitable with Schwab, Vanguard Charitable with Vanguard. Our big innovation is instead of pairing our donor advised fund, Daffy, with an investment firm, we paired it with a venture-backed technology company so that we can hire the engineers and designers who design the apps that we all know and love, that kind of quality. And by the way, if you download Daffy, you'll see that in the quality of the experience, right? It doesn't feel like a bank website. It doesn't feel, I mean, I've had 3 different donor advised funds over the last decade. They're still mailing around PDFs sometimes, right? You're talking to people on the phone. We didn't have time to talk about this, but I will actually say this is one of the big reasons we structured Daffy in a different way. Daffy is membership-based, right? Like the Oshman Family JCC is membership-based, right? The San Francisco Zoo is membership-based. We did that because we think that this partnership with investment firms is somewhat toxic for the industry. Because investment firms have a different business model. And that's because we really wanted to build a platform focused on giving and focused on people and not focused on accruing dollars in accounts that don't reach the intended destination.
Do we have time for one more question?
Hi.
One last question, if
Yeah,
there's
yeah. We came 2 days ago from Israel. We live in Israel, and this is an amazing idea. That's the first time that we see it. Do you have this Daffy? Okay, does it work the same in Israel also, or just for USA? You know, non-profits in Israel.
Oh, yes. So right now, like I said,
maybe we should just repeat the question. He wants to know if it works the same in Israel and if it's accessible from Israel.
So good question. Not yet fully. It's our long-term intention to make Daffy a global platform. But we just launched a year ago, and it turns out part of startups is first things first. You have to step by step. So right now, to open up a Daffy account, you have to at least have a U.S. account and some attributes. Although we do have a number of members who are in Israel who have accounts with Daffy. Right now, our donor advised fund is only structured to give to nonprofits in the U.S., those 1.5 million that are registered with the IRS. But we've had a lot of luck using nonprofits like Israel Gives and others that will do the vetting of international charities and route donations from U.S. citizens to the right organization. So I guess my answer is not yet, but hopefully soon.
That's a good note to end on for the Israel-American Conference or Council. And thank you, Adam, for joining me on stage and for this. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.